movie made, I want to say in the 70s. It's a crazy movie. But it's just detailing extreme excess where you can never fill the hole.
You know what's wild? The most powerful podcaster on the planet sat down and talked about one of the most powerful rappers on the planet. And what came out of that conversation, combined with court documents, federal lawsuits, and Jay-Z's own words, painted a picture that Jay-Z spent years trying to make sure you never saw. Today, we're going through all of it. No fake AI audio, no clickbait, real documents, real clips, real statements. Let's go. What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Quick thing before we dive in. Everything in this video is sourced. NBC News, NPR, ABC, Variety, GQ. Jay-Z's own statements. Actual court filings. I'll show you exactly where every piece of information comes from as we go through it. Because honestly, the real story here is more insane than anything anyone could make up. Alright, let's start from the beginning. Okay, first, who is Jay-Z and why does any of this even matter? Sean Carter, Brooklyn, New York. Grew up in the Marcy Houses projects. His dad left when he was 11 years old. He sold drugs as a teenager, and then he turned everything he went through into one of the most successful careers in the history of music. He built Rockefeller Records, Rock Nation. He's invested in tech companies, luxury brands, real estate. Forbes puts his net worth at around $2.5 billion. He's married to Beyoncé, and for 30 years, he has controlled his image with an iron grip. He doesn't do unnecessary interviews. He doesn't respond to drama beneath him. He projects one thing above everything else: untouchable.
But what is the hole you need to fill? Like, I'm trying to find, like, what's the
just
catalyst?
Chaos. What year was this? 79. Yeah. That's Malcolm McDowell, right?
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah. Yeah, the dude from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
It's a crazy movie, man.
But
and it's still mild in comparison to what Absolute have. Absolute power corrupts. Caligula.
Okay, so then there's the...
So when that image started cracking in 2024, it was a very, very big deal. September 2024. Sean Diddy Combs gets arrested. Federal charges, sex trafficking, racketeering. This wasn't a rumor. This was the United States Department of Justice. He's been sitting in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center since then, denied bail 3 times. And the moment his arrest went public, it was like a dam broke open. Dozens of lawsuits started flooding in, story after story, allegations of parties, coercion, abuse, and the entire internet, social media, YouTube, every platform, started asking the same question. Who else was in those rooms? Who else knew? Most mainstream media was being very careful, walking on eggshells, but one person wasn't. April 6, 2024, JRE episode 2132, Joe Rogan is sitting with comedian Andrew Schultz, and they start talking about the Diddy raids. Schultz said something that a lot of people were thinking, but nobody on mainstream TV would say out loud, that the federal raids on Diddy's properties weren't just about Diddy. The theory was that powerful people who had attended those parties were scared. Scared about tapes, scared about evidence, and possibly scared about what would happen if their names came up. Rogan let the conversation breathe. He didn't make accusations. He asked questions. He talked about how Prince Harry was connected to Diddy, how basically every celebrity in the world had hung out with Diddy at some point. And then he said something that stuck with everyone who heard it. Get out of the house. Meaning, if you went to those parties and things started getting dark, and you stayed, that's on you.
Well, there's some guys that just get trapped in a persona. We were just talking about Emo Phillips the other night, because Emo Phillips is apparently back to his persona. He let it go for a long time, and he just started just being a guy on stage talking about shit. Apparently, the people weren't into that. And so he's like, all right, give the people what they want.
That's the story I tell about.
By the way, I should just clarify, this is just what I've heard. I haven't seen him.
But this is like...
That's the Joe Rogan difference. He doesn't filter it. He doesn't soften it. He says what tens of millions of people are already thinking. October 2024, a civil lawsuit is filed in the Southern District of New York. It names Diddy, and it names someone listed as Celebrity A. 2 months later, December 2024, that lawsuit gets amended, and Celebrity A is revealed. It's Jay-Z. The allegation in that complaint was extremely serious. A woman, listed as Jane Doe, said that when she was 13 years old, in the year 2000, she was approached outside the MTV Video Music Awards. She was taken to an after-party. She was given a drink that made her feel lightheaded, and the lawsuit claimed that both Diddy and Jay-Z sexually assaulted her that night. Jay-Z denied every single word of it, immediately, forcefully. He called it a blackmail attempt. He said the lawyer who filed it, Tony Moore at 11.
It's not that common that comedians take their own lives. I mean, it does happen.
Yeah.
Like with Robin. Robin was a big one for a lot of people because he was not just a comedian. He was like a cultural icon in terms of like his films. You think of all the different movies that guy was in, and he had such a range too. That's when you like, to me, when you know how brilliant a person really is. Like, do you remember that film that he did about the
Rogan's world? Different. His community, tens of millions of listeners, was having the real conversation about celebrity culture, about the silence, about who knew what and when, about why nobody talked for decades. And Rogan himself, a guy who has discussed literally everything on his podcast for 15 years, said he found the Diddy trial revelation so disturbing he could barely watch more than 10 minutes of the court proceedings. Think about that. Joe Rogan, who sat through interviews about alien contact, government conspiracies, and war crimes. Too disturbed to keep watching. That tells you something. February 2025, the lawsuit gets dropped. Voluntary dismissal, with prejudice, meaning it can't be refiled. Jay-Z himself released a statement saying the accusations caused trauma for his wife and his children. And then, just a few weeks ago, he sat down with GQ for his first real public interview in years. In that GQ interview, Jay-Z said something that nobody expected from him. He said 2025 was one of the hardest years of his life. He said, that whole lawsuit thing, that took a lot out of me. I was angry. I haven't been that angry in a long time. Uncontrollable anger. Uncontrollable anger. This is Jay-Z.
this one together and that one. It was crazy. It was like I realized in the middle of it, I'm like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
It was pretty wild. But that just shows you what kind of thoughtful person he was.
Yeah.
He wasn't into being seen. In fact, he had a baseball hat on and glasses and a crazy big white bushy beard. You couldn't even recognize him.
Right.
He snuck around.
The guy who built his entire brand on being the coolest, most composed person in any room. The guy who literally rapped "I will not lose" as a life philosophy, saying he had uncontrollable anger. He also said he was heartbroken, that he needed the people around him more than he ever had, that the accusations caused trauma for Beyonce and his children. And here Joe Rogan's platform did that nobody else was willing to do. It kept the conversation honest. It didn't let the narrative get controlled by PR teams and carefully worded statements. It treated people like adults who could handle real information and make their own judgments. The Diddy situation opened a door, and behind that door was a culture, in music, in entertainment, in celebrity circles, where a lot of very powerful people had a lot of very uncomfortable secrets. Some of those secrets came out in court.
Crazy film processing guy. It was like 24-hour film. You remember those little film booths, photo booths that people would go to where you bring, back in the old days, you youngsters, we would have a camera and the camera would have film in it and you'd have to bring the film to a place for processing. And Robin Williams did a film about a guy who was a psychopath who was obsessed with someone from processing their picture. 1 hour photo. That's what it was.
Nice.
It was fucking great. And you just, from that film, you realize the range this man had.
Right.
You know, I mean, from Good Will Hunting, from, so many different. Yeah. He was a genius.
Yeah.
Some still haven't. And Joe Rogan, the guy with the $250 million Spotify deal and 50 million listeners, made sure you heard about all of it. That's why powerful people don't like him. And that's exactly why his audience keeps growing. All right, that's the full story. Real clips, real court documents, real statements from Jay-Z himself and Joe Rogan's actual podcast. No AI voices, no fake testimony, no made-up quotes. Now I want to hear from you.
Dealing with the kind of RPMs he was dealing with. Just, he would spit out these amazing works, but, just the cost on himself.
Do you think I'll catch you in the next one?